What if I told you that the very ground beneath your feet is vanishing in fertility faster than we can rebuild it? And honestly, the methods pushed as solutions are often the very reasons it's collapsing. For over a century, modern agriculture has relied on synthetic fertilizers, heavy tillage, and chemical inputs that strip the soil of its natural life. What looks like soil on the surface is often just dust, lacking microbes, worms, and organic matter. When you hear gardeners complain about dead soil, this isn't an exaggeration. Dead soil is soil that has lost its biology. Plants may still grow in it if you dump enough fertilizer, but, they grow weak, dependent, and tasteless. A striking contrast can be seen when barren ground is revived. Imagine a patch of cracked clay, gray and lifeless. When worked with ancestral methods, within a season it can darken, soften, and teem with roots, worms, and fungal threads. That is the power of working with soil's natural cycles rather than against them. Long before synthetic fertilizers, ancient farmers had already mastered the art of soil renewal. From the indigenous Amazonian peoples who created terra preta, soils still fertile after hundreds of years, to Asian rice farmers who cycled straw and animal manure back into the land, cultures across the world discovered one truth: soil fertility is biological, not chemical. These practices worked with the slow rhythms of decomposition, layering organic matter, feeding the underground life, and closing the loop so nothing went to waste. One of the biggest myths modern gardening has inherited is that more fertilizer equals more food. Fertilizer feeds the plant directly but ignores the soil. It's like feeding a person candy. There's a quick burst of growth but long-term weakness follows. Ancient practices understood that you don't feed the plant first, you feed the soil. When the soil is alive, the plant is automatically strong, resistant, and nutrient-dense. That's the principle modern agriculture lost when it banned many of these methods in favor of quick inputs. So how do you bring these principles back into your own backyard or raised bed? The steps are surprisingly simple, yet incredibly powerful. The first task is collecting organic materials that are abundant and often overlooked. This could include crop residues, kitchen scraps, animal manure, and even charred wood. Each serves a role. Manure brings nitrogen and microbes, straw or leaves supply carbon, and char creates a sponge that holds nutrients long-term. Alright, so you want to start with a small bed or trench. You'll need to dig down about 12 inches deep. At the bottom, lay down a layer of coarse organic matter, like sticks or maybe woody stems, to help create some airflow. On top of that, add alternating layers of green material, like fresh kitchen scraps, weeds, or even manure, and brown material, such as dried leaves, shredded cardboard, or straw. A good balance to aim for is roughly 2 parts brown for every 1 part green. After you've added 2 or 3 layers, go ahead and dust in a thin coating of soil from another part of your garden. This step introduces the microbes that will break the pile down. Just continue until the trench is filled, and then cover it all with about 2 inches of soil. The simple act of burying organic matter in layers actually mimics ancestral trench and pit composting. Unlike a modern compost bin, where you might have to wait several months to harvest, this method transforms directly in the soil where your plants will eventually root. The decomposition process heats up gently, never scorching the roots, and over the course of several weeks the trench turns dark and spongy. Even in beds that were, basically lifeless, this layering technique reintroduces both food and shelter for soil organisms. For those starting out without any livestock manure, a fermented liquid made from weeds can actually substitute. Just fill a bucket about halfway with green weeds, cover it with water, and let it sit for around 2 weeks, stirring it every so often. The liquid concentrate that results can be diluted 1 part to 10 parts water and poured into your trench between layers. This was actually a common trick in Asia, long before synthetic fertilizers were even a thing. People would use methods like this to infuse nitrogen and beneficial microbes into the soil. The transformation that this method brings is, honestly, nothing short of dramatic. Within about a month, you'll see the soil color shift from a pale shade to a rich, dark chocolate brown. The texture softens as organic matter starts holding more moisture, which really helps reduce the crusting that used to plague those barren patches. And when you pull back the topsoil, you'll notice fungal threads weaving through decomposing material, plus worms tunneling around where there were none before. If you were to compare two garden plots side by side, the difference would be clear. A traditionally fertilized bed may sprout seedlings quickly, but the soil remains hard and dry between waterings. The ancestral method bed, however, stays moist, crumbles when touched, and produces seedlings with thicker stems and greener leaves. Under a microscope, the story is even more powerful. The dead soil sample reveals only mineral particles and a few bacteria. The revived soil teems with protozoa, fungal spores, and a rich web of life that continues multiplying. The benefits of bringing back ancestral soil care extend beyond your own garden harvests. By restoring life underground, you also restore the cycles of water retention, carbon storage, and local biodiversity. A revived soil patch becomes a habitat for earthworms, beetles, and pollinator-supporting plants. Rainwater that once ran off now soaks in, reducing erosion. Carbon that would have escaped into the atmosphere locks back into stable humus, a process indigenous people mastered centuries ago without scientific instruments. For gardeners today, the opportunity is both practical and profound. By reviving even a single garden bed using these techniques, you are stepping into a lineage of soil stewards who understood fertility as a cycle, not a product. The long-term benefits are undeniable. Plants grown in this kind of soil not only yield more but also resist pests naturally and carry higher nutrient density. Families fed from such gardens taste the difference and experience the resilience of food grown in living soil. This is where the Hydrohaven community comes in. Every gardener has access to some form of organic waste, whether it's cardboard, straw, or kitchen scraps. By sharing your results, what worked in your trench bed, how quickly worms returned, how your crops responded, you contribute to a growing movement to heal soils across backyards and communities. The truth is simple. Modern agriculture may have banned or ignored these practices, but they cannot erase their effectiveness. The ancestral way is not just history, it is a living solution waiting to be used again. So if your garden beds are tired, compacted, or barren, don't reach for another bag of fertilizer. Reach instead for the wisdom that has stood the test of centuries. Dig a trench, layer your organics, feed the soil, and watch as life returns. And if this guide has given you something valuable, take a moment to subscribe to Hydrohaven and share this video with a fellow gardener. Together we can revive the ground beneath us, one bed at a time, and pass on soil that thrives for generations to come.